growth gives you the most commonest measure of economic performance. Employment gives you another dimension because it gives you an indication of how productive we are.
I'm going to start with a Imemi. Not necessarily a pension question per se for now, but the budget that we've seen 2017 coming in, we see the budget deficit, we see government shifting appetite to more foreign borrowing. And I want you to kind of share your insights on what that means and what impact it might have, or rather what risks it throws up, things to do with currency risks. And if it's a good move anyway for us to be, for Nigeria to be shifting its appetite towards foreign borrowing rather than doing what it's always been doing, borrowing internally, raising bonds, which pension investors see a lot, and avoiding all these currency crises that we've seen with African countries experience.
Yeah, thank you very much. The government borrowing, I think it's there's little or no choice. They're borrowing in foreign currency, and you find out that most of the inputs required for development is to provide infrastructure. Most of those inputs require, foreign denominated expenditure. One, it is assumed that it's cheaper to borrow externally, apart from the foreign exchange risk involved. Also, it's a way to reduce the local borrowing and not crowd out the private sector locally. But is that the only alternative for us to be able to take care of the budget deficit? There are other alternatives, and people have talked about partially selling some of our holdings. People have touted the LNG, liquefied natural gas project. Are there other assets that we could partially sell that generates foreign exchange instead of borrowing? So I think there needs to be a combination of looking at all the alternatives and not really focusing on the external borrowing, because it has foreign exchange rates to the country. How do we repay? If you look at the current budget, the portion of the budget that is used for debt servicing. So if we increase our borrowings, external borrowings, that debt servicing ratio will increase. And what does that? What's the impact on that on our revenues? That means you're cutting part of the revenues which should have been used for domestic economic development. You're using it to service external loans, and it has a significant impact too. So, are there alternatives to totally borrowing? And I think we should look at all the options and do balancing instead of being fixated on the external borrowing.
Okay, so if you're out there in the audience and you have a question about sale of assets, here is the man. You can ask that later. But one of the things that the government has said is invest a lot in infrastructure to spur to growth and help the economy get out of recession. And just to be a little bit provocative, one of the avenues of where that money is coming from, the government is eyeing workers' money, and they have proposed that maybe the pension fund should come into funding infrastructure. So now that we have you, could you tell us what exactly is happening on that front? Whether you think it's a good idea, and more importantly, how it's going to affect the fund's portfolio investment, the investment portfolio of the fund, the structure, how will it affect that?
Yeah, thank you. It's been in public discourse. Every day we read in papers, people are asking for the 6 trillion to be invested in infrastructure. Well, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. That's one. You can't use your 6 trillion to be invested in infrastructure. But in 2010, the National Pension Commission amended the investment regulation and included investments in infrastructure as one of the unliable assets for pension funds. And it could be done through infrastructure bonds, of which there's an allocation, assets allocation. You could invest 15% maximum of the pension funds in an infrastructure bond, and 5% of those funds in an infrastructure fund, that is equity investments, indirectly, through an infrastructure fund, privately managed. And we set out the rules, the guidelines for that to be done, and it's very explicit in the regulation. So when we see or read in public discourse for or against the use of pension funds for pension fund investments, one, it's allowed for pension funds to invest in infrastructure, just like any other asset class or any other instruments, but it must be in structured instruments. You can't, the pension funds can, for now, directly invest in infrastructure as per taking up equity shareholding in an infrastructure project. And it is desirable for pension funds to invest in infrastructure, and we've seen that in all the jurisdictions globally. And why? Why are pension funds suitable for infrastructure investments? There's a match between the tenor. Pension funds are long tenured funds, patient capital. Infrastructure also, by its nature, are long-term investments. So there's a match between those funds. And infrastructure projects really generate that stable streams of cash flows that meets, the long-term liability of pension funds. So you have infrastructure projects 25 years, and you have people that are contributors that have 25 years to work. And so they are not accessing their pension benefits until 25 years' time. And if you look at the economic scale of it, and in terms of profitability, the returns on investment, returns on infrastructure investments and all other alternative asset classes generate above inflation returns. They generate above inflation returns, and when you're investing for a long time, you require above inflation returns to preserve the intrinsic values of the pension contributions. So the pluses for pension fund investments in infrastructure far outweigh the cons. But how do you preserve the safety of the pension funds? It's key, and that's why the regulations are very robust. They're very robust to guarantee the safety of the pension funds investments in any infrastructure projects. And what kind of infrastructure projects are we looking at? They must be self-funding. You can't just put just for any infrastructure project. So we expect that those infrastructure projects to be able to generate cash flows that will repay itself. The government can take care of the social infrastructure, but what the pension funds are not just, they're just like any rational investors. So what are you looking at as a rational investor? You're looking at safety, you're looking at returns. So as long as those those infrastructure projects are self-funding, generate cash flows, and the processes in which those infrastructure projects are developed. I'm talking about the process of bidding, the process of awarding, the vendors, developers, contractors to those. The process must be transparent.
I'm sure the workers will be watching that.
Yes,
very
and we all got to know as Nigerians, it's a win-win situation for the pension funds to be invested in infrastructure. How are they invested, and in the ways they are invested in, it's critical and it's important. And every one of us here, we're contributors to this scheme, and we should be very particular about how safe the pension funds are invested in those infrastructure for our good. Because if you look at the benefits of the infrastructure projects, it's for our own good. It's a win-win situation. The roads, the rails, power, it directly impacts on the individual citizens of the country.
Thank you.